And we go.
All right. Welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your weekly TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday, as always. We've been very regular this year. Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. Look, we're usually what this would kind of be the kind of getting to the halfway point of the season, heading into week 6 action here. We just wrapped up week 5. Again, it's a 14-week regular season this year. It feels like there's still forever to go, actually, in the season. A lot of big headlines to talk about this week. K-Wheels, 127 points on the board in week 5. At different points, it looked like 129. The record was going to fall easily. Saquon Barkley's injury kind of put a dent in that. But still 127 points for the K-Wheels in week 5. I just ran the math. Over the last 4 weeks, they are averaging over 100 points. We'll round that up to 101 points a week for the last 4 weeks for the K-Wheels. Good luck, Boba Fats, in week 6.
Yeah, mind you, just one little comment there. Puts up 127 points with no Barkley, and Tucker only putting up 3.
Right. Yep.
That like Tucker
Easily.
only putting up 3
and no defensive points, no cheating.
Right. Easily could have beaten the record, but
unbelievable.
129 has proven a very tough mark to overcome.
Yeah,
we've seen several teams get really close to that, and you think they're going to get over it. That mark has stood for a while now. Other big news coming out of week 5: another tie, another exciting tie. Most of them are obviously close games, but 78-78, Boba Fats and the hard luck Senators. Not only do the Senators not pick up this win, they are now 1-3-1, but they were really the ones who had this game, and Jonathan Taylor bringing the Fats back from behind to take that win away from the Senators.
He was so close a couple of times to winning me the game, too.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think twice he was like 3 yards away from 80 yards or something like that. Oh, so close.
The Lizards, still undefeated, our only undefeated team, 4-0-1 through 5 weeks now.
Yes, indeed.
On the other side of that, the Mongols, still without a win, are defending champs, 0-5 to start the year. Big injuries coming out of week 5, unfortunately. I scribbled down 3 of them. There's probably a couple more minor ones we could add in there, but Russell Wilson out for the Amsterdam Packers for at least a month, probably more. Saquon Barkley, as we mentioned, out. Maybe not for as long as everybody first feared. Welcome, Berto. We haven't even gotten quite to panel intros, so you're doing just fine. And again, for the bad luck Senators, Clyde Edwards-Helaire out, and he's probably gone for at least 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, the other one I took note of was Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju out for the season. I also, you could probably throw George Kittle in there, landing on IR, out for a few weeks. And as Phil was talking about in our warm-up, you can look at a lot of teams across the league right now and see a lot of red crosses next to their players. Add in the bye weeks that are now starting to ramp up, and as we talked about last week, you can see it. There are going to be some teams who, if they don't make some moves, are really going to struggle to put 3 active running backs or 3 active receivers out there in some weeks. Let's do our panel intros and get into this. Our commissioner, Lizards Rule, Rich.
Yeah, greetings. It's amazing how the dynamics from just 1 week to the next really shift a lot, and I'm sure we'll cover some of that today.
Yep.
My bourbon of the week, and you might hear, live audience, I've had been a little under the weather for the last 24 hours. I'm hoping this is going to help us out, maybe smooth out the vocal cords. We'll see. But Maker's Mark 46. It comes in this little vial thing because I had somebody share them with me from their collection that they had. They poured into like 7 different little bottles, a sampler of different bourbons that they have that I didn't have, and I'm doing the same and sending it back to them, which is pretty
All right.
cool. So I'm going to try this Maker's Mark 94 proof 46. It's just one that I've had my eye on that I haven't had a chance to try yet. And he had the bottle, so I was like, "Hey, send me that." So he did, and we're all good. So I won't divulge any names here, but cheers to you. Thank you for sending it. We're going to give it a go. Week 5, TFFL, on to week 6.
All right. Our IT director, czar and CEO of the K-Wheels, Hank, welcome.
Good evening, all. Happy to be here.
You're
Yay,
good,
yay,
good
yay.
spirits these days, I trust.
It's nice to win. It really is. It helps the overall mood of the entire ball club. So, yes, good spirits.
Berto, high command from Jack's Giant Killers, welcome.
Stick, how are you? Glad I made it in time. So this is great. I thought Rich was he was marketing some new cough syrup bourbon. I didn't know where we were going there.
Just bourbon.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad I held you in suspense.
Okay.
They do look like cough syrup bottles, don't they?
Berto, you were coaching soccer tonight?
No, I had a work thing. I went in and I actually saw some people that I hired for the first time in person tonight.
Nice.
Or today, and had a couple beers after. So that was good.
Nice.
Any regrets?
No. No.
You did
Nice
great
question.
virtual hiring.
And hey, our special guest, Rabbi Anuzi from the Boba Fats.
There you go. We got a whole division here.
Yeah, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me.
Nice art behind you there. You got it. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Love it.
All right. So real quick, a special promo. Everybody should be tuning in. I don't know exactly when, but this Friday or Saturday night live, the TFBA expansion draft.
Oh, yes.
Live here on StreamYard. Hank and I will be covering that live, providing color commentary, doing the all-important coin flip for the first pick in the TFBA expansion draft. And then you'll see all 4 picks live if you want to. Big doings.
Is that the thing I just joined?
Exactly. You're going to be part of this expansion draft.
Saturday night?
At some point after
some point this weekend.
After we set the 2 keepers for the 8 existing teams. So the big news in the TFBA, if you haven't been following, Todd Cohen, Rabbi Anuzi joining. We're expanding to 10 teams. Tipping off. NBA tips off in 6 days now, believe it or not.
In a week.
Yeah. So we got a lot of TFBA action coming our way.
Ben Simmons reporting major news.
Major news.
Major news.
Yeah.
But we're gonna lose Chief as a viewer.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Chief
say.
and Ralph are furious right now. Not that Ralph watches
Shut
us.
the webcast down.
Yes.
Speaking of Chief,
That's that league. That's that league I dropped out of, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, just checking.
And as an editorial comment, let be it known that Stick did the TFBA thing totally rogue. That's all him. So if you're mad about that content, blame the editor.
Stick did a great job.
Great job, though, Stick. Excellent work.
All right. But so we'll use that as our to lure Chief back into the viewership. We'll use that as our segue into TFFL trivia, courtesy of Chief. So I'm going to dig into my stack of envelopes here. Rob, since you're our guest, I need a number between 2 and 6.
Let's go with 2.
Question 2. Q2. And I'll tee up the answer to envelope to open later in the show. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Some players in the TFFL are associated with a particular team, usually due to being on the roster for many seasons. But, ... Can you name the TFFL franchise that drafted or signed as a free agent these players as rookies, presumably before they moved on to another franchise better associated with them?
That would be the presumption.
So there's no further instructions here. I've got 4 names. And And I guess we'll say
we
one
have to name the TFFL team that's associated with the
Not
who
associated.
drafted them.
Who drafted them?
right.
yeah, or picked them up as a free agent. It said
Yeah. Who was the
Right.
first team
As
to have that
rookies.
player?
Who first
that's right. But
acquired
we're naming
these
the
guys?
TFFL team that did that for each one
Yeah.
of these guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess
All
we're
right,
going to
so
get
four
one.
There's
1
4 of
point
them.
for each of these.
All right. Give
All
us
right.
the names.
Philip
1 point
Rivers.
for each.
Philip
What's that?
Rivers.
Philip Rivers. Related to Philip Rivers, Vincent Jackson. May he rest in peace, I believe. Greg Jennings. And Demarius Thomas.
Huh. I know a couple of these.
I don't know any of these.
That's interesting. All right. Good question. Chew on that throughout the show. We'll come back to the answer. We have time to think about that one. All right, let's turn to our commissioner real quick. I don't think there's a heck of a lot to report, but Commissioner's Corner, any news, updates, requests for the league?
I have nothing.
Nice. Smooth ship.
Easy going.
All
On
right.
week 6.
Anybody have any complaints for the commissioner?
That was the greatest commissioner report in the history of the league. Thanks, Rich.
All right.
Anytime.
All right, let's move on. TFFL standings. Hank, how's it looking out there?
It's looking good out here. What do I have? I have them printed, I thought. I had them sitting right here. Freaking Luke took the standings. Well, you got to give me a minute. I got to reprint them. I'm sorry.
Luke, by the way, doing remarkably well in NFL. What is it?
Oh.
ESPN Pigskin Pick'em.
That reminds me, while I'm reprinting this, Luke wanted me, Berkman, to specifically make sure that you know that he's coming for you. And he knows that you're leading now, but don't expect it to last.
Bring it.
All right.
Bring it. Bring it, young Luke.
Wait, is Luke? So Rich is in first and Luke is in second. Is that how?
It's something like that. I don't even know.
Yeah, he's 2 behind me. I think I got him by 2 games.
And he was winning a week or two ago, and then yeah.
Oh, did I overtake him? I wasn't paying much attention.
I think you might have overtaken him. All right, I'm sorry about the delay in the standings, and it's very exciting to see.
Just tell Luke he's messing with the guru.
Well, and he knows that. I was like, listen, man, you got to understand that you've been paying attention to football for exactly 15 minutes, and all of us have, made this a large part of our, free time life and sometimes work life.
Speaking of people who've only been paying attention to football for 15 minutes, Connor is on a 2-game winning streak and hang your hat.
Yeah.
Nice work.
And I think is still alive in the loser pool.
Yeah, he is. He is. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try and blow myself up here if I can. We are going to. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. There we go. Here we go. Standing through week 5. Lizards standing squarely atop the league at 4-0-1, undefeated.
Unbelievable. After
next
5
guys
weeks.
in this list, Berto, the strongest division in the league.
Wow.
The 4-1 Ampac, K-Wheels, and Killers. 2-1. It's odd to have 2 teams sitting there right at 500, Sponge and Boba Fats. Then we get down to the guys below the line, Aliens, Beavers, Hams at 2-3, Senators 1-3-1, Devils 1-4, Mongols 0-5. And this is without a doubt the most number of records I think that we've ever had, in terms of like separating the columns.
Yeah, that is pretty remarkable.
We have 7 different records amongst the 12 teams. So, for whatever that's worth.
Amazing.
Yeah, the obvious headline there is your division with 3 teams at 4-1. One of the more interesting things, though, is you look at a team like the Senators, and we've talked week after week after week about the terrible scheduling luck they've had, the amount of points scored against them. They are 1-3-1, and I think they are still just a single game out of first place in their division. So they're actually scoring really well. Mm-hmm. And certainly should not be giving up despite all those early season misfortunes.
Yeah, well,
everybody, we're terrible. No one's representing the South here tonight. So I'll just point out that no one in the South is out of it by any means. Even the Mongols, the best team in the South right now is the Sponge at 2-2-1. So even the Mongols are 2.5 games out of the Southern Conference title right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean they put up 70 some odd points, 66. So
Yeah.
they got some work to do still.
They do.
But, one thing to point out is that with the Devils, they put up 93 points this week. So they were, no different than Crames. At least, he good enough to beat all but 3 teams this week, Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it hurts some weeks.
Kills when that happens.
And I get that argument. Don't despair too much. Obviously, you're not really playing defense. You just had bad luck in those kinds of weeks. But it's still a loss is a loss is a loss, and there's only so many of those you can endure even in a 14-game season.
Right.
We've said this before. Every week is a big week in the TFFL. All right, well, let's start chatting. And I told Rob, and I'd be doing a disservice to the league if this weren't the case. The number one item on our agenda: what the hell was Justin Herbert doing on your bench? He scores 43 points last week. He's your franchise quarterback. I'll tee this up real quick. It's not as if he had been a fantasy stud throughout the first 4 weeks of the season, but he was coming off a kind of brilliant 3-touchdown game against Las Vegas, 4-touchdown game against Kansas City. And in the first 2 weeks where he only threw 1 touchdown, he was still over 330 yards in both of those 2 games. So he was not doing badly. Why was Justin Herbert on your bench?
Mostly because I spend too much time reading fantasy football websites.
Sit of the week.
There's definitely a crisis of fantasy football analysts.
Analysis paralysis.
There's the mainstream fantasy football media is just unbelievable. So I honestly just read and read and read. I mean, he was in my lineup. He's always going to be in my lineup. And then it was just like, you get an email. It's like start of the week. Matthew Stafford, right? And you're just like, oh wow, look at this. They're pretty even, right? And but Stafford, before last week. He had Herbert, on points, whatever, by like 30 points or whatever. It was just, it was fucking stupid, but I did it. And the whole time I'm like, and I was texting with Kramer. I'm like, I'm starting Stafford tonight, right? This was last Thursday. And he was like, sweet, it's great. And I was like, Kramer's been scoring a ton of points, right? So I need to do something. I needed to maximize my output. And that was one of the things where I was like, all right, I'm going to swing for the fences here. I'm going to hope that Stafford, he had a better matchup. Who'd they play? Seattle, right? A little bit of a shootout versus Herbert playing Cleveland, right? So it was stupid. Herbert's never going to be out of my lineup ever again unless he's on a bye.
You're not the first one to have this reaction and say that.
No.
Yes. Stupid.
We've all done it, Rob.
It was stupid. Yeah. But whatever. I mean, I've been buying lottery tickets every day since Monday night, right? Like I was like, I can't believe I'm actually going to fucking tie this game. So this is unbelievable.
It was pretty unbelievable, that comeback. That was really exciting.
And I was putting the kids to bed. I didn't start watching the game, and I'm putting my son to bed. I'm looking at my phone, and Kramer's texting me just like, wow. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on in this game. Either the defense is scoring. Oh, and then the defense, the Colts defense gets that touchdown call. Oh my God, it was stressful.
Yeah. That makes fantasy football right there, even though it ended in a tie.
I had one of the decisions I did make was I actually didn't have Antonio Brown in the lineup. I had Devonta Smith in the lineup early on. I switched those guys too, as we were getting close to game time. So that was. I'd just like to point out I did make one good decision last week.
Rob, I'd like you to not beat yourself up so much about this.
No. Yeah.
Because here's why.
Because I didn't lose. That's why I get to not beat myself up.
Because Matthew Stafford outscored Justin Herbert week 1. He outscored him week 2. He outscored him week 3. Week 4, Herbert outscored him. Week 5. So, yeah, 3 weeks to 2 weeks. It was 3 weeks to 1 week before this week
Sure.
that Stafford outscored Herbert.
That's a good analysis.
Herbert's my quarterback, right? He's
That's
the
the
guy
point.
I'm going to roll with.
That's the point.
Yeah, but now you got to that point. You weren't quite there yet, but Herbert is the 3rd overall, including this week, and Stafford is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But that's including the 43 that Herbert scored this week. Prior to this week, Stafford was outscoring him. So it's it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's very hard to predict, Fats. And
No.
Taking a flyer like that, it's not like you were, going to start one of the other rookies, Fields or somebody else. I mean, Stafford's a solid quarterback on a high-scoring team. It just sucks that it turned out the way it did. In terms of you could have blown the doors off.
But here's the thing: like you tied that game, and Kramer texted me earlier that day. It's like, oh my God, I got to hold off. Who was it that you had going?
Jonathan Taylor.
I'm like, oh, you're good. I think I remember saying something like that in the Pac Bowl. I'm like, you got this. And sure enough,
he ripped off that 80-yard touchdown to start the game.
Yeah,
right. So it's to come back and tie that game is a win, right? So now Herbert's in, but it wasn't a horrible start.
Mm-mm.
No, and all of this is to say, I mean, it's a compliment to Justin Herbert. He is your franchise quarterback. Right. Looks like he can do this for the next 10 years for you. Put him in your lineup and forget about it. And it really helps the way, what's his name? Brandon Staley is the new head coach there. The way he's calling play, you're going to get 2-point conversions, as bonuses for Herbert for the next 10 years.
He looks good. I didn't watch his game this week, but I watched the game 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's ridiculous. I don't watch a lot of Chargers, right? They're not on here a lot. I don't have Sunday Ticket or anything, but were they on Monday night or Sunday night a couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
And he was just ridiculous.
The Browns.
I watch him every week, Fats. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's good.
He's awesome. He's a lot of fun to watch.
And
free agent pickup by me.
Free agent pickup last year, yeah. Before I move on from the subject of ties and great Monday night comebacks, I would be remiss if I didn't point out, go back and look real quick at week 5. Look at the Aliens game. Mark Andrews with an incredible Monday night performance on the bench, 24 points. If he's in the Aliens lineup instead of Latavius Murray, that 23 points ties the game for the Aliens. And I'm not going to worry about it too much. Andrews had not been scoring. Latavius Murray had been, but there were some big comeback potentials there on Monday night.
You know what? While you're looking at those, and as I was looking around, if the Mongols had started Emmanuel Sanders, they would have beat the Giant Killers if that replaced Brown or Jones.
Well, Terry texted me on that too. He was beating himself up about that one. So he did have Sanders in at one point. So
all right,
sounds like it's a week of beating everybody. Everybody beating themselves up.
Yeah, hey, it happens to all of us. We all end up with guys on the bench like that, and it sucks when it does. Some of them are just more pronounced than others, right?
It's one thing, if you bench a guy and he scores like 5-10 less points, but Herbert scored 43 fucking points. Like it wasn't like I would have been over 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lit it up.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a few specific TFFL teams, go a little bit in depth, and let's maybe move on to a more uplifting topic. Let's talk about a team doing really well, the K-Wheels. Not only we don't need to dwell on 127 points in particular, but this is a team obviously not just for 1 week, but all season long, or particularly these last 4 weeks, scoring at a dominant level. Yeah, Saquon Barkley's now dinged up for a couple weeks, but other headlines coming out of this past week, Kyle Pitts, first round pick, tight end Kyle Pitts, kind of has arrived now with a big game for the Falcons.
Hope so.
Probably getting a bigger role going forward. and at the perfect time. Again, with Barkley going down, with bye weeks coming up, Pitts is going to be in your lineup.
Yep.
As we mentioned, or at least I think we were talking about pre-show, you wisely drafted Devontae Booker. He's right into your starting lineup. He's not Saquon Barkley, but again, he is a decent NFL running back.
He's starting and he's serviceable.
Who's going to get a lot of touches on a Giants team right now that doesn't have a lot of people who can handle the ball.
Yep. If he'd been in last week instead of Barkley, if it had happened pre-game,
you break the record.
I'd set it by a lot. Yeah. He had 14.
Yeah. Sutton had a good game too.
No.
Yeah, you're sitting here saying Cortland Sutton is not worthy of your starting lineup because Marquise Brown, a guy you drafted, is playing on fire.
I mean, yeah, you tell me. I mean, I feel Sutton was the guy I expected to start, but how do I not start Marquise Brown? He's been on fire. So
here's a question. Oh, go ahead, Bert.
You go.
Well, I was gonna say, here's a question. I was just looking at the Wheels lineup because I'm playing them this week. What's the weakness on the Wheels?
Well, that's sort of where I'm going here and Hank doesn't have to have the answer right now. He's got 6 weeks to make moves. But typically at this point you look around, you say, oh my God, I've got a really strong team. What can I do to bolster this lineup and make sure I claim? I don't know that you can improve this team
Right. Phil's biggest weakness is his backup quarterback, I think.
That's kind of where it is. He's got the two. We've talked about this. He drafted the 2 rookies.
Yep.
Trey Lance is probably not
maybe your backup kicker.
Yeah, I don't have one right now. Gould.
That's your biggest weakness.
His defenses are both really friggin' weak.
At the risk of hyperbole here, the Wheels could be one of the strongest TFL teams we've ever seen. Like that is kind of what I see in the Wheels right now.
Cancel the rest of the season.
See, this is Birdo setting a bar artificially high so that as I fail to get over it, that Birdo's like, Wheels.
Then we'll bury you. But seriously, this team is really, really good. And
I think so. You have to suck for a long time to get a team this good because you have to get a lot of high draft picks, which I've had.
We would really
Tom Brady.
struggle. Really struggle to find a lineup that's as good as the Wheels lineup is right now. And they've scored 63 more points than the nearest team has scored so far this year. So that's
12
points a week.
12 points more than anyone else per game.
Every week, yep.
This team is
scary.
Firing on all cylinders. And if you add Pitts to that mix, who has not cracked, I don't think he's been in the starting lineup yet, right?
No.
He hasn't been in the starting lineup yet. If he starts to take off and I would have said the Wheels' weakness would have been, the Wheels have never had a dominant tight end. So if you add Pitts to this lineup with Metcalf and Jefferson and the running backs and Brady scoring the way he is, there's no weakness.
The real question you have to ask yourself at that point, though, is why not start 3 receivers, 3 running backs that are lighting it up because he has them all there? Why are you going to put in a tight end?
Well, my point is,
bye weeks are fine. Bye weeks are fine. Yeah,
it's flexibility. That's all it is. It's just more strength.
Yeah, my point is though, if you can start that, if Pitts is gonna be as good as advertised, Pitts, Metcalf, and Jefferson in the wide receivers, that would be a force. To not have to start Pitts at running back, and he's got 3 good running backs.
Mm-hmm. And go look at the Cortland Sutton and Marquise Brown numbers. Both of those guys. Cortland Sutton is a stud.
Yeah,
on the bench, not good enough to get into the lineup.
But like I said, tell me I should bench Marquise Brown. And there'll be weeks I make, Fats, you're beating yourself up about the Herbert thing, but you're gonna have weeks where you're gonna have to make that decision and mess it up. So
so again, back to the question: is there anything you're looking at that can shore up this team right now? Are you looking at the quarterback position?
So the only thing that I would say is Barkley Okay, he got a little dinged up. If he stays, you want him to stay healthy, right? Because
Yes,
he
I
can
do.
be a key piece. And then the other thing I would just throw out there is Derrick Henry getting a lot of carries.
Lots.
Has gotten a lot of carries. That would be the only other thing too. So those two things, Derrick Henry at some point hitting the wall because he's gotten so many carries over the last couple seasons.
What about Metcalf with no Russell Wilson?
No Russell Wilson. That is concerning more so. I think the Seattle offense
That's
is
for sure.
highly compromised.
Yeah.
You know,
Could be
Geno
interesting.
Smith is a step down. Now he he did all right last week, but he's a step down. I think, but look, I'm not worried about Metcalf because Seattle's going to throw the ball. They're going to throw it to him enough. So I feel like he'll be fine. Barkley is a concern, but I just feel like he's fragile and it's disappointing. I just wish he would be healthy and play because I think it'd be fun to watch. He's really good. Henry, I feel like Henry, that just ride him. He's a monster. And yes, he's been doing it for several years now, but I mean, if you had him on your team, wouldn't you hand him the ball, 30 times a game? I would.
Of course.
You know what you should do is trade Saquon.
Yeah, maybe I should trade
Saquon. Get a couple of firsts for him.
And a kicker.
Trade Saquon. Get a couple of firsts for him. Let somebody else deal with like 2-3 games a year, and then hamstrings and knees. You got your firsts. You got your stacked lineup, and you can draft. Second overall after winning Pac Bowls, you'd be golden. That's what I would do.
Never know. I have one goal and one goal only this year. I want to win the Pac Bowl. I don't give a shit how it happens. It could be
not easy
style. It could be ugly and by the skin of my teeth. That's the only measure. You're right. I have a good team. I'm excited about having a good team. It's fun. If I don't win it, who cares? I want to win, and that's
because you just said earlier in the cast that every week you win is exciting. It makes for a better week and
absolutely
awesome fantasy football.
100%. But then in whatever it is, in 13 weeks, this is going to end, and I'm either going to be really happy or I'm going to be very sad.
Right, you can end up like the Red Sox or the Yankees.
Correct.
Yeah.
Only one of us is going to be really happy.
That's right.
But the other thing too about this team is they're set up for the upcoming years too. This isn't a.
Oh yeah, this is.
I hope so.
Jefferson,
a good investment in this team.
Yeah,
it shows.
Pitts.
Assuming one of those two young quarterbacks really emerges. I mean,
I'd like to see that.
It's not a do or die scenario, but that's the plan.
That's the plan. I mean, that's clearly the plan, is that Brady is going to win the Pac Bowl with me this year, and then he's going to ride off into retirement from the K-Wheels, and hopefully Justin Fields or Trey Lance prove themselves.
But everything's not dependent on that. We've seen time and time again, you can win Pac Bowls.
Yep.
Platooning guys. I'm not convinced either one of those guys is going to be a franchise quarterback. Christ, you could roll with Brady for 2-3 more years.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
Why not?
So that's a nice segue then on to the next team I want to talk about in your division, the Amsterdam Packers. Again, all three teams in this division are 4-1, so the AmPack are 4-1. But on this note, if you're in that division and you're 4-1, you have to be looking around going, what can I do to separate myself, to make my, I got to do everything I can to overcome these two other great teams. And now you're Ralph and you just lost your franchise quarterback, Russell Wilson. For what it's worth, Daniel Jones is banged up in his own right. I don't quite know his week-to-week status. Ryan Tannehill has not quite been what you would hope for. What did the AmPack have to go do something here to try to keep pace? Because I think if they don't, they will quickly fall behind in this division. So
I thought Tannehill was a great draft pick when he got him. That was a really good pick, and I thought he was going to be. I thought Tannehill was going to be really good this year. And obviously, AJ Brown's been hurt, and Julio has been a little hurt and not lived up to expectations. But so if you had asked me that in the beginning of the year, that Wilson got hurt and that he had Tannehill, I'm like, he's going to be fine. I think Tannehill's going to have a really good season. Now, Tannehill's a big question mark. And if Daniel Jones was healthy, he would be starting over Tannehill.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of forced into Tannehill right now. But let's see,
Through
what happens. AJ Brown just
Matt
came back.
Stafford's available. Scoring
There
a lot
you
of
go.
points.
AJ Brown just came back last week, so he's just getting going. Maybe that offense will pick up, but who knows? But then you look at the rest of the lineup. I mean, Dalvin Cook's been in and out and injured, and he's got a lot of banged up guys on his team right now, which is concerning. Pollard is eating into Elliott's time a little bit, and
Elliott's been great though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Elliott's been on fire, dude. He has like 400
No
yards in the
doubt,
last
no
3
doubt.
games.
But they got some banged up guys on this team, but it's still a really good team.
The numbers on Tannehill through 5 weeks this year, he has one game with more than 12 fantasy points, and I think it was 21. It wasn't a tremendous game.
All right, let's keep
so-
it that way this week.
Yeah. And again, some Dalvin Cook and others banged up across that lineup. I think Ralph, again, is going to have to do something, or else he's going to fall a couple games behind here, I think, over the next 6 weeks while Russell Wilson's out.
Was he playing you this week, Rich?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, one more topic, and let me bring us down a little bit. Let's talk about teams that now through 5 weeks, or at least one team through 5 weeks that maybe is starting to think about 2022. Phil brought this up in the standings. I think we've all talked about it. In the South, nobody should be thinking they're out of this, even though the South is where we have teams with the worst records. The Mongols at 0-5 should not quite think that they're out of this. The Senators, with all their
I'm not
bad
so
luck,
sure about that one.
They're 3 games out of the division lead.
I get it.
Ooh.
I'm just saying 0-5
Mongols.
it's doable. It's doable, but it ain't easy.
No, they're 2 games out of the division lead. What am I
Yeah.
saying? They're
that's
2
what I'm
games
talking
out.
about. The Mongols are only 2 games out.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
the best
0-5.
record in the South is 2-2-1, and that's
Alright,
in the
fair
other
enough.
division from the Mongols. Now, granted, the Southern Conference probably has to recognize that unless things change, they're fighting for division titles or no playoffs.
Right.
Right.
Which brings me to the aliens, and I don't like talking about the aliens, but I think this team may be smart to look to 2022 at this point. You could try to talk me out of it briefly, but I'll set this up. We are not just 2 games out. We're actually 2.5 games out in our division, 2.5 games plus a tiebreaker out in our division. The wild card does seem out of reach already with the 3 teams in your division, guys who are crushing it. Trevor Lawrence, I love his long-term potential, but Jacksonville is a disaster this year. And they have no weapons for him to throw to. I don't have stud running backs. Tony Pollard's been, as great as Zeke Elliott has been, Tony Pollard's still going out and getting 100 yards a week, but he's not going to be getting a ton of touchdowns. Zach Moss may get his touchdowns here and there, but he's not going to go get 100 yards. The division I fear is going to be a really tough climb at this point, and I don't know if we have what it takes to go compete for a wild card against teams like the K-Wheels and the Ampac and the Giant Killers. The teams in the South, I think, have to stick it out for a little bit longer, but I think if you fall behind in the North here, you can. Now's the time where, I may be open for some trades.
Okay.
At least you got Cam Akers.
I got Cam Akers for next year, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You got that to look forward to.
No, Rich, I know you had told me on email you didn't think it was quite time yet.
Well, I mean, I've seen this team put up 90 points this season, and every week's a different week. So the fact that you're 1 game behind 500 in a tough conference, bless you. I don't know if week 5 is when you call it quite yet. But not to say that you couldn't make moves. you may make moves and still may think you're making your team stronger, and whether that's in draft picks next year or
Right.
not, that's a different story. But I just look at 2 and 3, and with a longer regular season, maybe there's another week or 2 left in you. I mean, if you lose this week to the Killers and you're 2 and 4 and Fats and I both win, then maybe that's a different story. But if Fats and I both lose and you lose too, or you happen to win, it changes everything.
I'm playing. So I've got not only am I trying to catch this division, I'm playing you guys. I'm playing Giant Killers, Ampac, K Wheels coming up here.
Right.
Obviously,
this is the battle of the no-co.
The next 3 weeks, we got no-co battling, and it's going to be, yes, there's going to be some separation, but Stick, you're the one, I think it was only like last week or 2 webcasts ago where you're like, it's earlier than it's ever been. And you're right. It is. This is a 14-week season. We're 5 weeks in. We're not the halfway mark yet. I mean, what happens if you get to the halfway mark and are on a 2-game winning streak and you're sitting there at 4 and 5? You're in it, and even if you're do better than that, and you'll be in great shape.
It doesn't matter right now anyways. No one's out there trying to score the big. I mean, is there anybody out there other than like Kramer trying to score like the big trade?
We're all working with what we got. We're scouring the waiver wire. It's what we discussed on last week's webcast. Last week's webcast is exactly what we were talking about.
Well,
right? I think you got to ride it. You don't have a choice, right? I mean, who are you going to sell the farm to?
Right. Well, you're working with what you got. You're working the waiver wire. You had a couple of good pickups. It is what it is. And then yes, eventually you're forced into some trading.
Never give up.
What's that?
Never give up.
Never give up. Damn it! Never give up. Stick.
I would say. I mean, people are looking for trades right now.
Sure. Yes, everyone's looking for trades, but
not denying that. But Pat's asked if you're going for like the big enchilada right now to like shore up your team and make that move.
No, not necessarily. But you could be, you could be looking to acquire a piece. Then if the right deal comes along, and because the other thing too is if you make a deal now, there might not be something down the road that you can deal with, or maybe there'll be more people who are interested. I don't know. It could go either way. Sometimes it'll dry up. Sometimes it won't.
I think Rob makes a good insight, and the honest answer is no. Nobody has come to me with some big offer because they aggressively want to go get. Maybe I don't have anybody worth a big offer, but the offers I'm getting, or even the conversations people have been raising with me suggest people are only willing to kind of nibble right now. But I think teams are starting.
If you're out of it a week or 2 before the trade deadline, then you just start squeezing people, right?
Right.
2 weeks before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
If you're the Mongols and you still haven't won the game, won a game, right? You're working things hard. You're going to get like maximum for your dudes.
Mm-hmm.
It's too early, I think.
That is too
early.
The reality check I take every week, and I know com.com is bullshit, but we start every week as 25% odds to win our game every week. Berto knows this, having run his models, with the aliens draft and keeper lists. You just can't get the aliens above 11th place in these models.
I tried.
We try. We do our best.
But Stick, you've known this since before the draft. This is a multi-year rebuild for the aliens. You're drafting a rookie quarterback, giving him the keys. You've got running backs that you've patched together admirably, but never from the top of the draft.
Right.
Never from getting a superstar as he's getting into the league. Guys like Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, they're nice guys. None of them are starting for me this year.
Exactly.
And I think that if you looked at a lot of other teams in the league, they're not going to start for them either. But you're growing and building, and maybe one of those guys gets hot enough that you can get an overvalued draft pick for one of them as we go further into the season, and there's injuries and attrition, and guys need to shore up their lineups. But it's not yet time for you to give up hope on this rebuilding project, but keep it in perspective. This is going to take a couple of
It's
years.
a rebuilding project. Yeah, no.
The counterpoint to what Rob was saying, though, is maybe getting in on some of that earlier rather than later. Like, example, I trade a first-round pick for player X earlier, or a second-round pick, or whatever it is, means I'm not going to make that trade later necessarily. So, the whole argument about moving a player earlier rather than later isn't awful either, right? So, yes, you may
It's a shell game because you don't know what those guys are going to be doing, right? I'm looking at the Aliens lineup. I mean, who are you going to trade?
Yeah. Who's
Right?
on the
Amari
table?
Cooper, maybe. I mean, he's a good player, but like
Mhm.
Tyler Lockett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Tyler Lockett's a definite trade target.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not getting first rounders for him.
Mark Andrews.
Yeah,
Mark
but he
Andrews,
doesn't need
maybe.
first hand. He doesn't necessarily need first, seconds, and thirds. Build depth in a team. Look at Hank, how he's moved up each year to get picks in the first, second,
But
third.
Phil was drafting like number 1 overall.
Yes, I know he's filled out his roster really
Phil
well.
was also trading
Julio
Jones for multiple
years.
number 1s, right? Like,
Yeah.
Stick doesn't have anybody on his lineup that he can trade for one number 1, let alone multiple number 1s.
I will, and I don't mean to use this as a marketplace, but I will say Amari Cooper's not going anywhere without a number 1. He is not one of the top 5 or 6 receivers, but he is a number 1 receiver in an incredible passing offense.
And that's where you have him valued in your possession. You will not get a single offer for number 1.
No way.
From anyone in the league. I guarantee you that.
I'm not trying to trade him tonight. That's not.
I'm just pointing it out. Meaning, there's 12 spots for number 1 receivers. There's 30 some odd teams. Phil probably has 2 or 3 of the number 1 guys. So does maybe Sponge and I don't know, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just saying, those 2 guys don't break the top 15 in terms of.
Right. And this is my point: is I'm not necessarily trying to have a fire sale going forward because I'm not going to trade guys for picks that don't improve the team long term.
And it wouldn't make sense for you. Right. Amari Cooper makes sense to keep.
But
you're not going to get enough.
The other thing too is you have to have 7 keeper-worthy guys going in. So if you're going to trade these guys and then hold on to junk anyway, then it doesn't make much sense. It almost. And I hear what you're saying, Stick, not trading these guys for less than you think they're worth. That's definitely part of the equation. And the other part of that is, well, I need them to round out my 7 keepers, so I can't trade them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We've talked about this in the past. I think some people don't necessarily like it, but Thornburg for the Beavers has figured out. When you struggle one season, immediately turn your attention to building for the next. Get yourself those better draft picks. You can only keep 7 guys going forward. And if you're looking at the season ahead, all those other guys on your roster, you're not going to keep. You figure out how to get 20, future value for them. Every free agent pick you make is with 2022 in mind. I'm just saying I'm starting to get to that point. It doesn't mean we're going to trade everybody, but I think, taking a reality check week to week, it is really tough for the Aliens, I think, to win more games than they lose this season. And
we wish you well, Aliens.
Yeah.
And we're in a tough spot in the division and conference we're in right now. Whereas part of the point of this is everybody in the SoCo right now should really still feel like, at worst, they are 2 games out in the case of the Mongols. The Senators just a game out despite all their troubles. That conference is wide open.
Well, and I would suggest to you, Stick, as somebody who's starting to look at, is there a market for what I've got? You should be fishing in the Southern Pond.
Perhaps, yeah.
I think there are going to be a couple of teams in that conference specifically that might be earlier to say, I need to get a couple of wins and get up on this before we get back into division games. Who knows?
Kramer's going to win. The Senators are going to win that conference.
They should.
There's no way.
They should.
There's no way they keep putting up 80, 90 points a game and just keep losing. I mean, I guess they could, but
they're in 4th place in the conference right now.
Yeah.
4 out of 6.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they are one game back of first. So,
Right.
Wait, but the Sponge could hold them back. No,
That's a good division, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think the
Sponge could
Senators
still
could.
hold them back.
good.
That's a conversation maybe for another week. But yeah, the Senators may actually be the favorite in that division, despite where they are right now. But that's a good division nonetheless. I think all three of those teams could easily win that division. All right, that's it for chat subjects this week. Let's
Fats, you got
answer
any topics?
What's that?
I said, Fats,
Me?
you got any topics?
Yeah.
Do I have any topics?
Yeah.
I do not have any topics.
We already talked about Justin Herbert, and Jonathan Taylor had a really nice week, and he's got to be kind of exciting going
Mhm.
forward.
Melvin Gordon's got a knee, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of the aliens.
So
that's
Javonte,
good for Javonte this week.
yeah, absolutely.
Melvin Gordon no longer on the aliens, of course, but
No, yeah,
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
just
I
basically-
you'll
forgot.
associate him with the aliens for forever and ever.
Yeah,
I-
all
right.
right. The commissioner has one last thing.
Oh, sure. Now you do. Okay.
Now I do. Now I do. It's simple. It's simple.
It's about bourbon.
I still do not know if we have recorded the Hams and Aliens trade correctly, based on all of the conditional crap that went on with this and 2 and 4, and now it's just a swap of Melvin for Sonny Michel. I didn't follow. It was never clear. It wasn't laid out. I've requested that the teams go and check the essential document to make sure everything's accurate, and it's just out there. I'm just saying that to the league. It's out there.
The
Editor
Hams
in chief, will you and Michael get together and make sure I've recorded that correctly?
Yeah.
I apologize, Rich. I do believe I tried to answer a couple times and I wasn't very clear. I'm going to throw Michael under the bus. I kept waiting for him to chime in and try to validate what I was saying, and he didn't. We will take care
I
of it.
run a tight ship. I
I
just
know.
want it correct.
I think that's
my
good commissioning.
My understanding of it is the draft picks are eliminated. It's Melvin Gordon for Sonny Michel now.
There's
Yes,
no
but
swap.
technically, in terms of documenting it, it is still two separate trades that occurred at two separate times. And just for the record here, essentially what the terms of the Melvin Gordon trade are, they are based on how Sonny Michel performs this year, such that whatever draft picks go to the Hormel Hams as part of the Sonny Michel trade will come right back to the Aliens as part of the Melvin Gordon trade.
See, did he lose you?
So it's
Yeah.
irrelevant, but essentially what you're saying, though, it's irrelevant what he does, because whether it's a second round pick or a fourth round pick, the draft pick is wiped clean.
Correct.
But how do Sonny Michel and Melvin Gordon, if they have wildly different seasons, you're saying that doesn't impact anything?
No, it's all no.
So
That's
did you
how the
exchange?
condition-
any
Yes, that
draft
is what
picks?
you're saying.
Wait,
Yes.
wait. Did any draft picks get exchanged?
No.
Not really.
No.
So then I could just delete it all.
It's like it never happened. Except
Well,
no. It's
if you
no-
wanted to
no-
really,
You guys get your picks back that you traded.
yes. So
Yeah.
if you really want to boil it down, it is Sonny Michel for Melvin Gordon.
Yes, that's what I
If you
said.
want to properly document the fact that there are two separate trades going on,
I don't need that. No.
Okay.
I'm not interested in recording two separate. What I'm interested in is the bottom line.
Yes, Melvin
And
Gordon.
so that sounds like I can eliminate
yes,
the swap of picks in
Yes.
the essential doc.
yes,
Yes.
It's turned moot.
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Aliens
No more
now have
conditions.
all their picks for 2022. Yep.
The TFFL historian is tasked with ensuring
The
that
archiving
this
of that.
The
controversy
trades are
is
that
recorded.
Kramer is stepping into, right?
Is
Right.
good news.
Kramer is our trade trackers.
If you need to
See, I don't
demand,
understand why is the historian not the trade tracker? Because this is TFFL.
Kramer already volunteered to do
All
it,
right.
so we're good.
I thought it was already a responsibility of the
being
historian.
taken care of.
Yeah.
The archivist has enough on his plate.
Yeah.
Busy updating the archives that are 8 years old now.
Yeah.
Still working on
They're
it.
more updated than that. Stick did some updating of the archives.
A few years ago, there's some of it. Yeah.
Again,
Anyway.
time is flat for me, so you could have told me it was last month, and I'd believe it. But no,
Damn,
get
I
it
got
together. Let's
I got
go.
Flat.
All right. Okay. You ready for a trivia answer?
Maybe.
Let's show our cards here real quick. All right. Where's my envelope? A2. All right. So we're looking for the original TFFL teams that drafted or signed as free agents as rookies. Phillip Rivers went to the Slippery Beavers in 2004.
I had the Devils.
I had the Aliens.
Nobody got that one right.
That's and I both picked the Devils.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just guessing.
Vincent Jackson, wide receiver Vincent Jackson, rest in peace.
Beavers.
To the Senators in
Yes!
2005.
Yes.
Hank with a point.
I had Ampac.
I put
Nice.
Aliens.
Fuck.
Greg Jennings, wide receiver Greg Jennings in 2006.
Sponge.
First owned by the Hormel Hams.
I had the Senators. I definitely did not get anything on this.
I put Beavers.
I know the last one. It's
And
killer.
the last one, I know this one as well. Demarius Thomas, wide receiver Demarius Thomas as a rookie in 2010, drafted by the Aliens.
Oh, look at that. He was wrong about his own team.
Wow.
I put Hams.
Beavers. I thought the Beavers had Demarius. I remember them screaming Demarius Thomas.
Aliens.
I got one.
So,
I got
so
zero.
I have news as well on the answer card.
Zero.
Chief tells us, give yourselves 3 points for each correct guess.
Oh,
I got
So-
one.
Aliens got I got 3. Hank got 3.
I get 3 points. Yes, I got one answer correct.
All right.
There's
That
my
may be
That
it.
was a good question.
that was
Yeah.
very good.
Fun question.
was
That's a hard.
very
That's a
good
hard
question.
one.
That's a
I
hard
just
one.
suck.
I can tell you Demarius Thomas as a rookie had one good game, like 7 catches for 100 yards, but otherwise did not do much as a rookie. I didn't even think about keeping him heading into his second season.
I
And
picked
then-
him up as a free agent, traded him to the Beavers, and then he
Free
took off after that.
Beavers. That's when he took off, right? It's for the Beavers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I knew that they weren't the one, but I would not have come up with the Aliens. No way.
All right. Hey, Rich, TFFL schedule and a game of the week, perhaps?
Right on, right on. Right on, right on. Week 6. How did we get to week 6 so fast? Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Mhm.
All right. So the Lizards are up against the Ampac this week.
Mhm.
Seems
That's
like
game of the week.
a relatively good game.
Mm.
We then have the Aliens up against Giant Killers, which we mentioned earlier. And being consistent, the Aliens have a 25% chance to win, as you were stating. We have the Beavers headed to the Hams of Hormel. Beavers, and that's a straight up 50-50 game right now.
Yep.
50-50 split between the Beavers and the Hams. Sponge at the Mongols. Game is actually a lot closer than you might think. I mean, look, the Mongols, again, they put up 66 or whatever it was last week. They were pretty close in stats before for the Killers last week. The Sponge have them edged by about 3 points in this one. So that could also be a good game.
Mongols don't have a starting defense in their lineup, so 50-50.
They have the Saints there right now on a bye, right? They'll have to work that out. Good point.
They'll need to get
So
one.
the K Wheels, as we discussed earlier, playing the Fats.
Let's
Here
go
you
for that.
go.
Shock the world, baby.
Hey,
Look, all you need is Justin Herbert going crazy once again, and Tom Brady having a New England Patriots day. You
look
never
at what
know.
Baltimore did too. I mean, Fats, that could be a gigantically big game.
I have no Cordarrelle Patterson this weekend, so
Mhm.
we'll see what happens.
No,
Tom Brady playing the Eagles tomorrow night.
Yes,
Yep, the Brady
We'll know
gets
a
to
lot.
start early.
We'll know a lot tomorrow night.
we will.
Well,
We'll know a lot.
if the Brady TDs go to Antonio Brown, you're in good shape.
Yep. And then he's got
Antonio will
Devonta
be in the
Smith
lineup.
too, and Devonta Smith and Antonio Brown, right? Both.
Do I have Devonta in the lineup? I believe
Yeah.
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yep. Yeah, he's been playing well.
Is T.
Yeah.
Higgins back full strength? Was he out there last
He
week?
is.
Yeah, he's
He is.
out there.
He played last week.
Good.
Didn't have a big
The
game,
Pats
but-
they have a strong lineup in, so it's gonna be a good game. Be a good game.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, and they can do something with Juju going on IR now
Hey,
So,
not for nothing, but the Fats lead the all-time series 18-6 over the Wheels.
Woo!
Wow.
Look at
I
that.
do. Yes. Little known fact. I do own the wheels.
Yes. The Fats have,
Big
that's true.
time.
All right,
Let's
maybe that'll continue. Maybe that'll
18
continue.
to 6, right?
You know, they
Wow.
go from 101 average to I don't know, losing to the Fats. Let's see it.
Yeah.
And then we have the
No.
Senators
No,
going up.
let's not see. I disagree with that comment.
All right, disagree. Have a fair game, gentlemen. Have a fair
Yes.
game. Senators going to visit the Dirt Devils. Devils favored slightly over the Senators. You might not have thought that out of the gate with Rob's comments, but I wanted to point out that the Devils are indeed favored 52% to 48%.
And
Mhm.
the Devils with a
As far as I can see, Kramer doesn't have anybody in there that's on a bye, nor does
No,
Nick.
his Kramer's running backs are an issue
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah.
Kamara's on a bye. Edwards-Helaire obviously injured now, but he does plug in Darrell Williams. He who else does he plug in? Khalil Herbert, his free agent pickup.
That's who's
These
in
guys
there.
are going to get some carries. So
He's got Herbert hit another Hebe in there.
Dawson-
Michael Carter's playing well for him, and he can't plug him in because he's on
He's
a
on a
bye.
bye.
Yeah, Dawson Knox was a really good waiver pickup.
For sure.
And Marquez Callaway had a big game last week, also on a bye.
Yeah.
Tough week for the Sens.
So
Yeah,
The
the
Dirt
Sens
Devils-
are dinged up on buys and at 1 and 3. You know,
And the
that's-
Devils are they've scored well last week. They're
93
1 and
points.
4.
93 points. They would have only lost to 3 other teams.
44 of those came from Lamar, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
true.
What's Stephon Diggs doing? Is he doing anything this year?
He's having
Not much.
pedestrian games. Pedestrian games mostly. He's playing decoy.
The,
Oh,
the
he's
TDs, the TDs are going to Emmanuel Sanders and Dawson Knox and Zach Moss and Josh Allen on the ground.
And
Yeah,
he's got
totally.
Kadarius Toney in the lineup too.
Yeah.
See, there you go. That's reading the fantasy rags too much. Is he's the darling of this week? Is Kadarius Toney?
He is,
Okay, sure.
because we're all reading the rags. And
Yep.
we all
I,
see it.
I do wish I had drafted him though. He was I'm
course.
sorry, I missed out.
Didn't
on
he
it.
have like 19 targets last week or something?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I could be proven totally wrong. I kind of think he's a 1 week blow up. And yeah, who's Mike
I think
Glennon?
he's gonna be a good wide receiver.
Think so?
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you guys think the game of the week is?
It's you. It's Berkman against the Ampac and everybody
4 and 1, 4 and 1.
Yes,
that?
4-0-1 versus 4-1. Let's go Lizards. Lizards. This
Lizards.
Go
week.
Lizards.
Go Packers, please.
No, I think that'll be.
Rich, I hope you come out unscathed, but I am,
Skating.
I am looking up.
Well, Beavers Hams are 50-50. That could end up being a good game, but I'll take it. Game of the week. We'll take it.
Hey, you're riding an undefeated streak, and if you've got a marquee matchup, that's going to be the game of the week until you lose, at least.
Right
So,
on.
Don't
I
let
hope
it
not
be
to
this
lose.
week.
I hope not to lose. Not this week.
No, you can lose. You can lose in 2 weeks.
That's when I play you.
With the
I
added
hope you have
intrigue.
lots of buys that week.
I do. I did look at that. I'm getting killed the week. It's like I don't have Brady. I don't think.
Oh,
And
really?
I don't think I have Gibson. It's
Okay.
not good for me.
All right.
Rich, you have Himes in the lineup,
Yep.
OBJ.
Yep.
All right.
Are these criticisms?
No, I'm just looking at his lineup.
No, but I will tell you that McKinnon could enter the lineup.
Again, don't read too much into those fantasy rags.
No, but Hilaire is out. I'm not reading
Yeah.
the fantasy mag.
And you know
Hilaire is,
what else?
as far as I know, Hilaire's not playing, and McKinnon got some nice play last week, even with him playing. And when he went out, he got more.
This is an interesting game, even with Tannehill. You think Ralph will go out and get a quarterback? He'll have 4 quarterbacks on his roster? Or is he
No.
going to ride
Well,
Tannehill?
I think it's going to
Guys
depend
out
on
there.
what if Daniel Jones come out of the concussion protocol? He could come out before game time.
I will say one thing though, as slack ass as Ralph is about some things, changing his avatar, he's
Yeah.
always on time.
All
for
over
that.
it. All over it.
Yeah. He does do that very quickly. We know he's paying attention.
Oh yeah, and he's always working the wires and stuff. He's got it going on.
Hey.
I know. I feel good
Carson
about my
Wentz
team.
against the Houston Texans this week. He
Who?
is a free agent.
Yep.
Who?
Carson
Wentz.
Wentz.
Oh.
Will we see Wentz on the Packers?
I hope so.
I doubt it.
That's part of what makes that Ampac Lizards game all the more intriguing is seeing what Ralph does at quarterback. Does he stick with Tannehill? Is Tannehill good enough? Because we're journalists here and we like getting the facts straight. Rich, I'm sure I've been guilty of this many times, just throwing out how a player performed in the previous week. Jerick McKinnon in week 5, by the way, 1 attempt for 2 yards.
2 catches.
2 catches for 13 yards, 0 fantasy points.
Yeah, I know. I'm not worried about that.
All right.
Look forward, Stick, not backwards.
All right.
Hilaire out.
I understand.
McKinnon could play. That's all I said.
And who, somebody picked up Marlon Mack recently. The rumor coming out of Kansas City is that Kansas City may trade for Marlon Mack.
I saw
Hams
that.
did, yeah.
So
He played a little bit.
I like Hines.
Monday.
Yeah.
Hines playing against Houston is not a bad
no.
start
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever, by the way. That's why he's in there right now. But I have Davis on a bye. So that's that. And so is everyone else. There's a lot of buys.
Taylor Heineke out there for playing against Kansas City.
Yeah.
There are always a couple quarterbacks you can find on the free agent wire week to week, and maybe that's going to be the K-Wheel strategy when they need to fill in for Tom Brady.
Hey, the Sponge won a Pac Bowl that way.
Mm-hmm.
Stick there. You need to do like a new like segment weekly, which is like the free agent review, right? Let's take a look and see what's out there.
Could do that.
Who needs who?
There you
Let's
go.
make some predictions on a weekly basis. Who's going to pick who up?
Ooh. I like it.
Yeah, little
Patterson
speculation.
pick up. Well, to look backwards,
Has his
Patterson
pluses and
pickup was
minuses.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kramer's Dawson Knox pickup was fantastic. We had some good pickups.
The one thing I would say to that comment, Fats, is it's something good that not everybody's paying attention week to week on free agents. And if you start laying it out there for them in Cliff Notes form, these are the top 3 free agents. This is who should go get them. It becomes a plug and play exercise. And while we're journalists here, that's not necessarily in the competitive spirit of this league.
I think this.
But you know what? It's all public information.
Then you
It
can
is,
do the work.
but
And if you're watching the webcast but not paying attention to and basing your free agent
Right.
pickups on what what your opponents are
Mhm.
saying in the webcast, there
This
could be
is true.
some failures.
This
a couple of failures there.
it's some interesting.
If you've gotten 49 minutes into the webcast,
Yeah.
but you haven't looked at the
Free agent wire.
then there's something wrong there.
And plus, you have needs, right? Like we just talked about Ralph's potential needs.
Yeah. But I think people across the league have been very savvy about their free agent picks. Khalil Herbert was a very smart
Another
pickup.
good one.
Who just grabbed Jeff Wilson?
That was the Mongols.
So I think people are thinking ahead here. Actually, several weeks in that particular instance, and Marlon Mack, another example. Yeah, people are being smart. All right, we are creeping well over an
There's
hour
one
now.
last note before we sign off.
Please.
Look for me at the game. I will be watching Dak and Elliott live
Nice.
with my son. I will be at the game with Andrew on Sunday.
All right.
Enjoy
Very
it.
excited about that.
That's great.
Dallas Patriots.
It's one of the few times that I root for the Patriots when they play
Yes.
the Giants,
Me too.
the Redskins, or the Cowboys.
There you go.
The
Absolutely.
football team.
Washington football team.
Yes.
Washington football team.
There you
You
go. We'll
can't
be
hate the Washington football
cheering
team.
Dak on in person.
The Eagles pulled that game out of their ass.
Yeah.
They really did.
They
really did. Baltimore pulled that game out of
Yeah.
their ass.
They did too.
That was a good game.
Yeah, I thought the people who picked Indianapolis in the loser pool were going down.
Yeah, there was
Oh,
two
they
of
were
them.
sweating it. We were talking to John on Discord about it. I was like, "You picked them, didn't you?" Yep. Pulled
There
it
were
out.
2 of them. They were sweating.
All right, guys. Great week. Good webcast. Again, every week's a big week, but they keep getting bigger and bigger here as we get deeper into the season. So, Rich, good luck staying undefeated.
Thank you.
Rob,
Come on,
good
Rich.
luck. Good luck toppling the K-Wheels.
Thank
No.
you. Thank you.
Hank, good luck keeping this amazing scoring run going.
Let's hope so. Let's go, Kate.
Thanks for joining us, Fats.
Yes, Fats.
Thanks
for
very
having
much
me.
for joining us.
Great job, Pats.
Berto, good luck fighting through your division there.
Thank
You
you.
got your hands full. And Berto, real quick before we sign off, we as fellow webcasters have to make sure you're aware that for like a minute or two after we sign off, we exchange pleasantries and stuff.
You don't all just immediately jump off the webcast and be like, Berto's gone the second
There's
we
a
say
backstage. You didn't know about
No,
the
I'm
backstage?
usually backstage. Last
No.
week I had to drop off, but I'm usually on for a little bit after.
No,
Right now.
usually you're not. Usually you're gone.
And you say I forget things. Come on.
You know, I don't know if you guys get a lot of listener feedback, but I did enjoy the coaching strategy discussion on basketball and soccer last week. I thought it was
nice.
as somebody with very small children, I have something to look forward to.
Yeah,
So.
it's fantastic. Yes.
How
Big time investment.
how old now, Rob?
2 and 6.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I thought 6 years old. You're doing t-balls.
They're
soon,
running
aren't you?
around with
Now,
the shirt that they're
Angeline
in,
is
right?
she's like, you know, Dad, I want to be a model. You know,
Yeah. She's not getting dirty.
right. Soccer balls, like
I
as
wanna
far
be a
away as I
Disney
can get from
princess.
soccer balls.
I wanna
What
be a
about
Disney princess.
gymnastics? You're not
She's not-
coaching. You're not
Ballet.
coaching.
The closest she's getting to a sport is she does a little bit of horseback riding, but she's deathly allergic to the horses, so
Oh.
that's out. And yeah, she's got her
Why not
dad's allergies,
Sweet.
and she wants to do like dance, but
Yeah, ballet.
she doesn't
gotta do
really
that.
want to do it. Yeah, she's done it before. She gets bored with it.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly, she just wants to put on makeup and draw pictures. That's all she wants to do.
Nothing wrong with that.
I
She wants to be-
Nothing wrong with that.
She wants,
Have
she
at
wants
it.
to be Ariel. You
Maybe
know,
theater.
My
Mulan.
son, who's 2 though, has never seen a soccer ball before and is just like kicking it around. I mean, he's already the best athlete in the family. He's
All
2
right.
years old.
All right, feed that.
He's a natural.
All right. Well, you're going to have to start learning from Berto how to coach soccer.
Yep.
So when the time comes.
Yep.
Got a lot of notes.
I definitely took a mental note. Like, don't go to the ball, right? Don't chase the
Find
ball.
space.
I thought that was great.
Spacing
Yep.
is key.
That's right. Spacing is key.
That's right.
Perfect.
Good. All right. Well, any suggestions for future segments? We are wide open to viewer feedback here on the TFFL webcast.
Indeed.
All right. Good luck to everybody in week 6. Get your Mark Andrews trade offers in, folks. And we will be back here in a week talking about week 6 and looking ahead to week 7.
Can't
Good
wait.
luck. Take care.
Thanks.
Good
guys.
luck, everyone. Cheers.
Later, boys.